Well, Riot is not playing around. And I'm not talking about the contents of this video. Although yes, those numbers are really interesting. But also, they really cooked with 2x KO. But that's something we'll talk about next time. Because first, League of Legends got a new update. We got a proper dev talk that talks about some really cool things for the casual player base, as well as really bad things for the people who do bad things. And I mean, just look at the thumbnail. It's glorious. And so, without further ado, let's have a look at what is happening with League of Legends. So, as always, it all starts with Pabro and Meddler, who stay around for about 18 seconds before we go to the game modes team. This is a great sign that good things are coming. And so we go straight to Eduardo and Flux, where we immediately get presented with what the team has cooked up next, which is another new game mode. This time, similar to what's happening with the last season, we are getting new ARAM. More than that, we are getting ARAM Mayhem, which is ARAM with augments. That's right, have you ever enjoyed the absolute chaos of augments being present in Arena? Well, now, those augments are in ARAM. And funnily enough, this concept for a game mode is nothing new. It turns out, among all of their unhinged game modes, Wild Rift did also get an ARAM with augments. With the twist being that the Wild Rift team got inspired by the augments in Arena. After which now, League is getting inspired by Wild Rift. Or in other words, League is getting inspired by itself. But while there will be a lot of the Arena augments returning, we will also get new unique augments tailored specifically for ARAM, as well as tailored specifically for certain champions. For example, there is an augment that quadruples the size of your snowballs. Or perhaps you might get 3 charges of flash. Or perhaps, as you can see here, if you play Morgana, you might get Zhonya's and you might be able to move around while using it. Of course, the team knows that this is a big diversion from the base ARAM gameplay. And over the years we've learned that the core ARAM players are savage. They like their ARAM and nothing else. And so to make sure that nobody freaks out, normal ARAM will be up at the same time. Now, what is really interesting is that if you have a look at all the changes that are happening here, it really feels like Riot is experimenting to see how good augments are in the base League of Legends gameplay. If this proves to be fun, maybe augments will appear in something like Brawl. Which, yes, Brawl is coming back to League as a permanent thing for new players. And who knows, if that works out, who's to say this is not gonna appear in normal Summoner's Rift? What if Riot is experimenting with all of this to see if augments can be a reward for an objective on the Summoner's Rift? Let me tell you, that sounds like a topic for a really heated discussion. And so to close this all off, the team also talked about their state of ARAM in general. Originally, both the Spirit Blossom and the Arcane Bridge were supposed to be shelved after Season 2. But after getting a lot of feedback from the players that they wanna see these ARAMs permanent, the team simply decided to do that. And so now, random ARAM maps are becoming a permanent feature. With that said, they did get some reports about players having specific issues on specific ARAMs, so in the upcoming weeks they will try to iron out all the possible hitches. Now, with this, we did also get a devlog which summarized most of the information here, but it did also give us some details. For example, on ARAM Mayhem, you will get 3 augments, just like in Arena, and you will get them at levels 7, 11, and 15. On top of this, there will be more than 40 new tailored augments, such as getting quadruple the size of your snowball, which can be paired with a new augment that makes your snowballs AoE, which can be also paired with an augment that lets you pick up enemy snowballs to reset your cooldown. Meaning that yes, we are getting the classic roguelike mixing up of builds. But for now, that should be it for the game modes. Which means we are moving into the serious category, which is where the legend Riot Just a Capybara as well as Frogzone are introduced. And they give us a very big update on smurfing. Yes, another one. In case you are not up to date. Last time, Riot already pushed for a really heavy update that would be battling smurfs and boosting. And when we are talking about smurfs, we are talking about the malicious smurfing. It is mostly people intentionally going down to iron by griefing games so they can fake how they are climbing. Or even worse, people buying accounts. Normal smurfing, if it is legitimate, is still fine. That's all because Riot has their own new system that can detect smurfing pretty well, and so the matches should be fair. But now, there is a lot more happening with their systems. So, to give us some stats. So far, Riot banned over 10,000 cases of boosting with 99% accuracy. Here we are talking about people usually buying a boost from a high-level player to get their rank up. We are not talking about botting or anything like that, meaning that all of this is legitimate, but it is still against the terms of service. Although, we have to say, while this is awesome, 10,000 cases is not that big, and Riot even points out they are taking this slow to make sure there are no false positives. With that said, in the upcoming weeks and months, they are increasing this 10 times. But also they thank all the players who report all the boosting cases. Apparently these help a lot. So yes, reporting players matters. After which we get another big update, which is about buying and selling accounts. Now, for obvious reasons, Riot can't give us the details on how they can detect this. But they told us that they are rolling out these bans in phases to prevent false positives. However, even with that, apparently Riot already banned 400,000 accounts that played in ranked, as well as 1.5 million accounts that were sold, as well as 2.5 million accounts that were waiting to be sold. And I mean, wow, that's a lot of accounts on the black market. Just to give you some context, in total, we are talking about 4.5 million accounts. Even if they were sold at $5, which is usually the low-end price. In total, that is still a lot of money. And so Riot is actually cracking down on an industry. It is an illegal industry, but an industry nonetheless. And so what they accomplished here is no joke. There are other cases of other games with similar problems that cannot do that. And to clarify, apparently most of these accounts that got banned were leveled up before Vanguard rolled out. That's how they were able to slip through. And because apparently a lot of players had a lot of very specific questions about getting banned. Specifically, what if someone bought an account back in 2015 and now it was their main, would they be banned? And what if their sibling played on their account? Well, to clear up all of these questions, Riot did release an FAQ. To summarize this very quickly, if you did some bad things many years ago, you're fine. If you are doing some bad things in 2025, you're not fine. Here they also confirm that their accuracy on finding these bad sold accounts is really high. But it is still not impossible to get wrongfully banned, so if that happens, just make a ticket. It should get fixed. But now, all of these were still follow-ups from the last time they talked about buying and selling accounts as well as smurfing. But now we'll talk about some new features. For example, Riot is rolling out what they call account linking. Essentially, all your old accounts will be linked to your main account. What's crazy is that you don't do this manually. Riot can simply do this by collecting their data as well as the data from Vanguard. Which means people can no longer just avoid punishment, which was the most common use of old accounts. Should people get banned, they would just hop onto a second account and troll people anyway. And so if Riot deals with this properly, this might be one of the biggest changes done to League's toxicity in general. Because all the really toxic people in League simply made multiple accounts so they can hop between them as they troll on the other accounts. And up until now, Riot didn't really have a solution. And so starting in the patch 25.23, all punishments will be shared across all linked accounts. Meaning that if you get banned, you better fire up Minecraft or something. With that said, Riot also points out that the vast majority of players are in good standing. So the chances are nothing will happen to you. But as you are playing, it is possible that the toxicity in the game might slowly go down. Which sounds impossible. Lastly, the team is pushing out one more thing. An update to the streamer mode. When the first version of this feature came out, it wasn't that good. it was able to hide your name, but people were still able to find you through overlays. So now, Riot is simply cutting the API data when you have streamer mode on. What's even cooler, it has 3 levels of protection. It starts with simply covering your name, then it goes through hiding your masteries and other pieces of data, and finally it is able to just wipe your data entirely, including hiding your match history. The main goal here is to let the pro players and streamers play normal games without viewers interfering. And yes, this feature should be up next week. And so, to end their little segment, they end it all with a meme.
So until next time, thanks for keeping it honorable on the Rift.
And if you want, prepare to be eliminated,
Terminated! Annihilated!
eradicated, and have a nice day.
Why do they have to beat Teemo? I don't know, he just arrived in 2xKO. But now, back to Pabro and Meddler. So apparently, this November, it will be the first anniversary of Arcane's finale, aka the 3rd anniversary of the Arcane Season 1 launch, and it will be celebrated with new pieces of media, including stuff like behind the scenes, as well as the return of popular merch, but League will also celebrate this in the patch 25.23. Which is when we will get some new Arcane emotes, as well as every Arcane skin coming back. Which does also include the Arcane Fractured Jinx, which is a skin that wasn't that greatly remembered, and so Riot is trying to fix it. Yes, when the skin comes back, it will be upgraded. This is simply because all the other exalted skins that are part of the gacha machine are at least slightly better, and so Riot pretty much has to bring it up to the same quality level if they wanna bring the skin back. And so, similar to what we got with Morgana, Jinx will now have a new spawn-in animation, Shimmer Jinx and Powder will also get new recalls, there will be a bunch of new upgrades to the VFX, and there will also be new chompers. And so yes, looking at this overall, it is wild to see that Riot might be able to turn this around, because yeah, that skin is now known for kickstarting the gacha. And so after this, there are also some tiny updates. For example, you will be able to search for emotes using tags. In Practice Tool, you will be able to play as any champion if you play solo, so you can try out the champions before buying them. I can't believe this was not available until now. Blue Essence Emporium is also coming back on 25.23 together with the Arcane stuff. And your shop will be up the patch after that. On top of this, Worlds are starting next week, which means that Summoner's Rift will get some Worlds updates around it. This also means that pick'ems are happening, which is where this happened.
Whoever's pick'ems are worse will wear the company and Mumu suit at a random company event.
That is true, unless my pick'ems are worse, at which point I will not. Anyway,
He's
that's
wearing
it.
that suit.
And that is it for today's update. I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot that happened even though it doesn't look like that. Jinx got a pretty big upgrade, which is what people actually wanted to see. A lot of really bad people are getting banned now. Arcane is back again, but most importantly, the game modes team is cooking once again. And you just wait for augments to be part of pro play.